Hey YouTube, this is Southern Purple One. I got a great question that was sent to me and I want to share it with you. So I've been spending time thinking about the state of our country and trying to prep where I can. My question is 100% worst case situation. What are your moral views on taking what you need? I've always tried to live a good life and help people where I could, but I also understand in a worst case event, a lot of people will be competing for the same resources. I'm all for prepping and having as much on hand before an event, but some things are impossible to prep for. A good example is I have a few family members, including my wife, that depends on medication to live. Without it, they will die. You cannot buy up meds because you need a prescription and other restriction. I keep as much as I can on hand, but there's a limitation what I can do. So at what length would you go to keep a family member alive? I hope it never comes to anything like this, but when you talk about children's med being in short supply and so many other events taking place, it provoked me to think about worst case. What if suddenly there was no way to get meds my family needs? What would I do? Thanks for what you do. So, great question. It is a moral question. So there is a difference for me because I don't have any immediate family members that need medication. But I have thought about this in depth because I know people that do need it. To me, also, there's a difference between having like an 87-year-old lady compared to a 16-year-old girl. Would you do more for the 16-year-old, knowing the 87-year-old lady is definitely going to perish soon just because of the age difference? I still value the 87-year-old woman, don't take me wrong, but would I do different things for a 16-year-old girl? Would you do things differently if you knew it was like a medication, say an antibiotic, that you need desperately, but after a week of administering the antibiotic, the person would be fine? Would you do more for that compared to you need insulin, and it's a grid down worst case event, knowing that, yeah, you might be able to go out and get a month's worth of insulin by scavenging or stealing or bribing or buying or whatever. So there is definitely a difference, should be in your head. Hey, I need antibiotics for 1 week and then I can get this person fixed. Antibiotics is easier to store compared to like insulin. But I think now is the time. Now, this person said that their wife needs the medication. I have talked to so many people through YouTube that were on medication, lots of medication, and they drastically changed their lifestyle. They drastically changed their diet. They drastically lost tons of weight. And guess what? Their medications were no longer needed. Now, if that's the case for you, you need to immediately solve your moral dilemma and just get in shape. That way you don't have to rely on medication. Another question. Let's say you put back for months. You got 6 months of supplies of food. You got a good location, and you're going to wait it out. And you got 6 months of medication that you need. The problem is, though, while you're safe and secure, the world is falling down, and everyone else that did not prep, other than a few days of food in their house and medication, is going to be out there scavenging and getting every resource out there. So by the time you need it in the 6 month point, there's probably nothing available. It's already been either destroyed by accident, salvaged, used up. So, you know, that definitely is a problem. Think about the fire. You know, if it's a worst case event, you know, downtown in your town, your drugstore could burn down. The fire breaks out, no one responds, it spreads between building and building, and those resources that were there were destroyed. Or it's freezing cold and a bunch of pipes break and damage a lot of supplies or stuff that would be very important because of weather related. So then you can think, well, Dave, I'm going to go salvage these materials before they get destroyed by fire. So that's another moral question. I think in my head it's different between me breaking in or just walking through, because I won't have to break in any grocery store. There's going to be no windows left in the place. The doors are going to be smashed in. That's already going to be done by people that are very desperate. I think there's a difference in my head of me breaking your front door to steal your, or excuse me, to scavenge the last few cans of corn in your pantry, or to walk through a grocery store that is decimated, no authority there, and look around to see if I can find some canned vegetables. Granted, no one really technically owns the Rite Aid or the Walmart or the pharmacy, in the sense where there's not one person that's going to say, no, this, I got the bill of sale here. Now, if the manager says this is my store, I'm entrusted to secure it, to sell this product for the corporation, they could say that. But I would rather go into a public place than into someone's house and violate their house. The big question for me is, let's say you go out to scavenge, to salvage, to get what you need. Who is watching your stuff? I mean, do you have a huge group where you could, send a few people out? How many people are you going to send out? To me, it'd be more like I would look at going out to salvage something as a military operation. I would have a op order. I would do everything by the book. Have the SOP clearly noted by everyone how we're going to do this. But you probably don't have a big group. So let's say you go out, you have 6, 7, 8 people, and you send 2 people out. And all of a sudden, while they're out, they run into trouble. It could be they were trying to get something and they got cut going through a window that had broken glass and they severely injured, or they break a leg or hurt their knee, and they call you back on the radio and said, man, you're going to have to come help us. We can't walk. So how many people are you going to have to send to carry that person? If you have a stretcher, you're going to probably need at least 4 if it's miles away. So you've just reduced your security at your homestead or at your retreat. Now you can't even guard your place sufficiently. Let's say they're out, you got 2 people out, and they're loved ones of yours, and they get captured by a group of marauders, a group of people that are desperate for supplies. What are you going to do then? They'll figure out where you live. They'll bring you back to your house, your retreat, your farm, and at the end of the driveway, they'll holler into the farm, say, you need to leave, we're taking everything, or we're going to harm your loved ones. Then what are you going to do? Now you got a huge situation. You could lose your retreat. You definitely lose the loved one that's been taken. I think the biggest thing people think, it's not like the movies. You're going to me, I've entered rooms, I've entered buildings, I've entered towns and villages. This was in a military context. Very, very risky, very scary. Every corner you take is a risk, a huge risk. I've done it for real. People get shot, people get killed. So to me, it's like I'm not going to be in a hurry to run to the nearest town and try to salvage material. It is the hugest risk you can take. Entering a room, you got the moral question is, who is in the room? Are they legally, that's their property, are they legally supposed to be there? And you're entering, they're going to treat you hostile. They're going to shoot at you. You're going to shoot back. You might be killing someone that has a legitimate reason to be there. So there's a lot of moral questions about trying to go out and salvage material. If I were you, I would try to store everything you can. Because if you might say, well, after 3 months, I'm going to have to go scavenge material, scavenge food. In 3 months, there will be nothing left worth scavenging. So to be honest with you, if you're going to scavenge, you might as well do it immediately. But if you do it immediately, you'll have more chance of running into the owner of the property. And then you have a moral issue. What, are you going to shoot someone that legally owns that property? Are you going to steal from them? Now there's also the thing of abandoned property. Say you're got a train track near your house and the worst case event happens and trains stop and you discover that these rail cars are full of food or supplies. I'd be more inclined to take those than to break into someone's house and steal their personal belongings. But you'll have to answer that question. But getting back to, what would you do to keep one of your loved ones alive? Would you kill or injure someone else to get supplies, or especially medicine, to help your loved ones? You know, it's easy for us to sit in our nice warm houses behind our keyboards and say, oh, I would never do that. But people get desperate. People don't think straight. Go without food for 72 hours and tell me if you're thinking straight. You won't be. I've gone that much in military training. I've had the lack of sleep, lack of food, and you're not the same person. So this is a great question. I hope you stock as much as possible at your retreat so you're not facing this question, because it's going to be very difficult. And it's not going to be easy like the movies where you just grab your backpack and start walking around, going in houses, opening. Because guess what? There's going to be all these other people doing it. And you're going to confront a lot of people. And every time you confront someone that you don't know, the chances of you getting injured, which an injury in a SHTF event would be a death sentence. If you don't have medical, and I mean good medical, if you don't have a surgeon that can put you on the table and sew you up, or the medication that you need, even a slight injury could cause problems. Now, there is ways to get medication. I've actually gotten to disagreements with this because people want me to share all these websites where you can go and buy medication overseas. It's technically illegal, but a lot of people do it. If you're not importing a ton of it, you probably will get away with it. But I'm not going to put all these sites up there. But I'm sure people will put some sites in the comment section that where you can try to find medication. I'm not talking narcotics, painkillers. I'm talking things that won't hurt you or make you high, but you will need if you're on these things to sustain life. So it's a great question. My philosophy is I'm trying to get everything I need, or I can produce everything. Also, to go along with that, if you have a group at your retreat and your house, they'll bring more resources. Now, they also can bring more medical problems. And to top it off, you want a huge community group where you can have people in that community, like a dentist or a pharmacist that could help you maybe find an alternative. So really, the more you develop now, the more you have a plan, the less you're going to have to be out there salvaging. Because when you salvage, you take the risk of being shot, killed, captured. And who is left protecting your home front? You don't want to leave your wife and kids unattended and go out all day long trying to find something you need. So, yes, it's easy to say, buy everything now. But buy everything you can use now. Develop resources as in friends and neighbors that might be able to help you, or you be able to trade for something. So great question. Thanks for watching.